Welcome to Gear Up Podcast. I'm Kristin.
And I'm Emily, and today we are here with the trackside reporter for Supercross and Pro Motocross, and she's actually doing her first outdoors. It is the lovely Haley Shanley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, excited to be in sunny California. Like you said, it just happens to be my debut with the broadcast team this weekend, so I'm excited. Couldn't be more happy to be here.
Well, thank you for taking your time and joining us. We really appreciate it. And okay, so let's start from the beginning. You went to school.
I went to school for broadcast journalism and public relations. So along the way, like I had changed my degree path a few times. Like I wanted to go to school for broadcast, but then I realized like I got a little bit discouraged, but part of that was from our broadcast program at the university I was at the time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to switch to sports management. I can still find a career in moto with sports management. But then the light came back on and I'm like, nope. Back to media this is what I want to do. I'm going to stick by my guns. And then I get to my junior year, senior year, my last few semesters. And you know what? I got a job in production, and I was working with my boyfriend, now husband. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know that I need a degree to do this specifically. I feel like I'm going to learn so much more in the field, and any technology I'm learning about is going to be antiquated in a few years. So I'm like, I'm just going to switcheroo my credits, and then boom, got a PR degree. But when people ask what I went to school for, short story long, I went to school for broadcast predominantly, but that's what my degree is.
Right.
So how did you get your start in motorsports media?
Yeah, so being a passionate race fan. So growing up, I grew up in Minnesota near Minneapolis, and where I'm from, snowcross, and especially at the time, was huge. We're talking the Tucker Hibbert, Blair Morgan era. And so I'd been just drawn into that sport. And the friends who I were hanging out with, a lot of them were either riding or racing motocross in the summer as well. So that's when I learned to ride moto for the first time, was back in, I was actually just graduated from high school, my first freshman year of college. And that was like, this is really, really cool. I want to keep doing this. I've got the bug now. But I had kind of already decided at that point that I want to find a career in this, because I was a race fan of it for many years. And even watching NASCAR was brought up on that just a little bit. And so in high school, I always like to tell people I was the world's okayest student, like B's and C's, maybe an A here and there, maybe a couple D's here and there too. But when I discovered that I can find a path of study that I can combine with my passion, for me, that was broadcast. I took a broadcast class and I'm like, I can apply this to something I'm really passionate about outside of school. Everything clicked for me, and my confidence went up, my grades went up, and I'm like, I could start to see a defined career path for the first time. So dating back to when I was in high school, about my sophomore year, freshman year, that's when I decided this is going to be the path. So in high school, I was working with some friends as well who were racing. District 23 is the district back in my home state, and I was like helping write post-race recaps for them and email blast articles for them, and just anything I could be doing to work around media, even if it was volunteer work. It could be shooting video, writing articles, like I said. That's what I was doing. So that's how I got my start in it. And to stay close to the industry, I was going to take any job that I could in media, be it photography, production, being a cable grip, holding a monitor, producing, anything I could, just to build as many connections as I could. So it's been a long path to get here where I am today. It's been over a decade in the making, but that's kind of that's the summary of it.
Yeah. So how cool. You were doing something that you loved, but also making maybe a future goal out of it. And did you race when you were younger, or, because I've seen you ride. I saw some videos. You're good.
Well, thank you. You're generous. I just rode up until this was 2020. I'm just riding for fun. And a friend of mine, his name's Gary Walton, he runs Border Battle Cross Country Series back up in the upper Midwest. And he saw that I had the bike in the back of my truck, and I was driving from where I live now back to see my family in Minnesota. He's like, you should come race this weekend. It was at my home track. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know, but I happen to have a set of handguards in my gear bag. So I'm like, well, what the heck? I'm not gonna say no. So I went out and did it. So my first ever race was actually cross country, and never thought I would be racing. It was never like my intention. I simply am a soul rider. I ride for fun. And then, a few years after that, this last summer actually started doing some fair races, raced Redbud twice this last year.
Oh, wow.
And it's all purely for fun.
Yeah.
I don't have any intentions of taking it anywhere, and certainly not at my age. So I'm at this point in my career. But yeah, it was never the goal, but I kind of stumbled into the racing side.
I like how you say that, soul rider. That's good. But I also read that you did lacrosse in college, which that's kind of gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah. I played lacrosse in high school. And then as soon as I graduated high school, I was going to a local university. So I got the opportunity to go back to my high school and coach. And meanwhile, I was playing at St. Cloud State University. We were, I think, D2 club program. And that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work though. We were a self-coached team. And to be honest, it kind of sucked the life out of it for me. I really needed to find my love for the game again, which I didn't do until post-college, and started to play in a post-collegiate women's league in the Twin Cities. And now I continue to play to this day in Indianapolis, where I live now. And so I have a much greater love for the game than I did even back then, but it was a great experience, and I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Nice. Okay, so after you graduated college, how did that chapter turn into the snowcross?
Yes, so it was right around, I want to say, what year did I start in snowcross? I got my first opportunity with snowcross in winter 2017, 2018. They came to me, and at the time, they weren't looking for an announcer, and nor was I, at that point, really qualified to go out and put my resume and a reel out there. I didn't even have a reel. I didn't have any material to work with to send to series or networks or anything. They were looking for someone to do social media, maybe write some press releases and work on the digital side, and kind of as a video producer too for content. So I was like, sure, this is a foot in the door. And at that point, to be honest with you, I was almost like, I was enjoying my career so much on the production side and working with media and race teams and other race series on a non-broadcast side. I was so satisfied with it, and I thought, you know what? I don't know that this broadcast thing is going to pan out for me, and if it doesn't, that's okay. I'm really happy here. So, I go to start working for them. A few races into it, I was actually holding a jacket and microphone for my now teammate, Katie Osborne. She was our reporter for Snowcross at the time. So I'm handing her stuff so she can use the ladies' room. And I turned to one of our producers, one of my really good friends, Ted, and I said, this is really surreal, holding the CBS Sports Network microphone. Like, this is what I've always wanted to do. And he's like, what? Like, you want to do that? We had no idea. Well, let's put you to work and have you just knock out a few interviews. This will be for our sponsors. And I'm like, sure. So we went and did a few interviews that day, and I'm pretty sure that same day they just put them on the live stream that afternoon, that evening. So I'm like, that was really cool. It was instantly, it got some traction with AMSOIL Championship Snowcross, and that progressed into opportunities with being their daytime or amateur program reporter, and then was filling in for reporter for the pro show in the evening. And then things transpired a few years into it, and they put me as an analyst in the booth and then play-by-play. So that was a few year span between getting my start and being their play-by-play commentator. So I worked with Snowcross for, I want to say 7 years. So still have a great relationship with them. So that's kind of how it all started.
And then you also pro watercross?
Yeah, that was my actual, it wasn't live, but that was my first TV gig. It was tape delayed to CBS Sports Network. It was pro watercross. It was a race down in, was it near Miami? Somewhere in Florida. I don't even remember. It was a really, really cool event. To be honest, I knew nothing about it, but I got to get in there and I just started interviewing guys and gals too, and just learning as much as I could in one day's time. But that was my first ever show, was pro watercross.
What is watercross?
Jet skis.
Oh, got it. Oh, they're racing? Oh, that's cool.
Because it's also Grand Prix Ski-Doo.
Yes.
You did, right?
Yeah, Grand Prix Ski-Doo de Valcourt. That is the biggest snowmobile event in the world, actually. I was going to say North America, but it is snowcross, ice oval snowmobile, snow bikes. And up there, they're really big into motorcycles on ice. So it is literally a dirt bike. They stud the tires up. They race on a banked oval track, and as well as VTT quads on the ice as well. So that's
full ice.
Full ice
snow.
and snow. It's
Wait,
a big
so
one.
were you on the snow too, or just in the booth?
I did. So for that one, sorry, I was reporting for that one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when did you come into like the AMA Supercross?
That happened. So this is my third year with Supercross. They came to me before the 2022 season. They actually just found me online. I'm pretty sure
Wow.
through Instagram, which is crazy to me because I didn't have a huge following. I still don't feel like I do. They found me on Instagram and they're like, hey, we want to build a bench. We want to get some names. Just, we're looking for, I don't even know if they were looking for someone at the time, but anyway, they were accepting reels. And at first I'm like, I don't know if this is real. Like, I feel like someone's pulling my leg
this
here.
is a joke.
Prank?
This is a prank, and it's a darn good one because immediately I am like shaking. I am like sweating. I'm having this physical reaction to, oh my God, Supercross just sent me a message. And so we talked a little bit, and at that point in the year, I was already committed to another season of snowcross. I could only make a few races work. And so they were like, it's thank you so much. We want to stay in contact. Ultimately they went with someone who is amazing at what she does also, and who also had more of a time commitment. And we just stayed in contact. And then the next year, 2023, they came to me pretty late again. And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this so badly, but I'm committed to another series. Fortunately, they were willing to work with me with the races that I had. So that first year I did 11 of the rounds. And so, I got in there, rolled up my sleeves, got to work, learned a lot that first year. And then last year they offered me 15. And then this year I got the full 17 for Supercross, which was so special to me. It's such an honor. So it's, just halfway through my third season
That's
with
so
them.
cool.
And then outdoors.
Outdoors,
Yeah.
yeah. This is, to be honest, when I started out the season, this was not the plan. I was Supercross only. And, with the two series combined for the last few years with Super Motocross, we have our team is continuing to expand. There's a lot of crossover between the two broadcast teams and our talent. So, as far as what I wanted, I always want to do more races, but I just knew I could only control what I can control and just got to do the best job that I can in Supercross. And thankfully, they've believed in me and brought me here today for this one.
When you were doing the snowcross thing, was like the Supercross like in the back of your head, like you wanted to do that in the future? Was there like a goal, or like did you see yourself doing that, or like was there an end goal for you? And
Yeah, and to me, I never would have thought, so back to the snowcross days, I never would have thought that I would be in the booth. It's just something, and I'll admit, like you're starting to now, but you don't see a lot of women in the booth.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, women, we just typically tend to go for and be put into roles as a reporter or a host, which is great, but it's just I just never saw myself there, and which is silly in hindsight now because there's no reason why I couldn't have seen myself there. It was just maybe it was just out of sight, out of mind to ever have maybe seen a woman, myself as a woman in that position. So. I think I was more at the time, yes, I'd always wanted to go to Supercross, but at that time I'm like, whoa, this is such like unprecedented territory for me. There'd never been a female in the booth for snowcross before, for the pro program in TV. So I was really absorbed in that. So when Supercross came to me, I'm thinking like, this seems really ahead of schedule for me because I'm just getting my confidence up as a broadcaster. I'm starting to get my name out there. I thought there would come a day where I am the one hunting down Supercross or Pro Motocross, or these two where I ultimately wanted to be. It's both of them. I thought I would have to be on the hunt. So the fact that it kind of fell into my lap was so just, and it still is to this day, mind-blowing. So to answer your question, it was always a goal, but I was really focused on the present at the time.
Really
but
cool.
all my, like everyone who races and is a part of snowcross, I confidently say everyone's following along with what's happening at Supercross and Moto, and we're watching every weekend. And even my broadcast teammate, Robbie Malinowski, Ryder Malinowski's dad. He was my analyst after I got moved to play-by-play, and we'd sit there and have like Peacock up on a phone. Like the stream would be going. Our series president Carl would be watching the stream too. So we're always following along with it, no matter what.
I'm sure they're super supportive of you too. Like now that you've moved to Supercross, you know.
Yeah,
I
they
actually
are.
saw because when we were doing our research, I saw some messages. They're like, "We miss you. I'm so proud of you." So
Yeah, it's the whole community. Snowcross will always be home to me, and in the friends I made there, some of my best friends in the world to this day have come from my work in Snowcross. It's brought me around the world. And I haven't gone too far because the sister series owned by the same company as Snowcross is Amsoil Championship Off-Road. So I still work with them. Did it hurt me to have to come to them before the 2023 season and be like, hey, look, this is happening. I can't give you the commitment you deserve. Here's what I can do. I think it was only like 2 or 3 races. And they were so supportive. And in fact, they were kind of like, well, it was only a matter of time before
we're gonna lose her. She's
they had been telling me that over the years. And I just kind of laugh it off like, oh, no,
They
you don't have to
saw
worry
something.
about it. So they've been incredibly supportive of it. And they've been a really big part of my journey. So we've stayed pretty close, me and the snowcross industry.
So out of all your roles, what are the most challenging, you would say, out of them?
Ooh, of the most challenging of like the different series or like entities that I've worked with. Ooh, they're each challenging in different ways. For me, going from a reporter position to the booth was a big, scary challenge because in my mind, I'm like, okay, as a reporter, you only have X amount of minutes. Now, if you're in the booth, you have all of these minutes you need to fill. So you not only need to be on top of your knowledge, you need to be articulate, you need to be coherent for a much larger amount of time. So that was scary to me. But you get paired with the right teammate, Paul Small for my first year and Robbie Malinowski for the next few years. When you have good chemistry with a broadcast teammate, which I've been very fortunate to have with the teams that I work with, it makes it easy. But I'd say that was the biggest challenge, was just completely stripping myself of all of the expectations that I had for this one lane that I always saw myself going into. Because when I got put into the booth, it was like I had less than a 7-day notice, I'm pretty sure. I look back. Like was our play-by-play our color analyst at the time, he just fell ill. And so he couldn't continue the series. So it was a little bit of panic mode. So that was the biggest challenge there. And I think coming to motocross and supercross, the biggest challenge for me is it's my head, man. Like you get in your head and you think like, I know as a fan, I am hypercritical. I think all of us in this sport, we have so much ownership in this sport, and that therefore makes us really critical of people in the industry, whether it's a racer, whether it's broadcast talent, just anything. We all have pretty firm opinions, some hot takes. So I came into it with this expectation that like, I'm going to be prepared to get my feelings hurt. I'm going to be prepared to be torn down for whether it's warranted or not, whether it's my work or my appearance. And, there's always going to be people who have opinions, but to be honest, I think I was in my head about it so much more than it actually has been an issue. Like I know who to go to when I need feedback. I know to maybe not read into certain things, but it was getting out of my own way and getting out of my own head. I needed to do that if I was going to progress within Supercross and now to Pro Motocross. So that was a big challenge. Anytime you go to work with a new team, you're learning the communication style of a new director, their expectations. What do the bosses want? What do the producers want? What do you need to do to set your teammates up for success and tell the best stories, shed the racers in the best light? So it's with here in Supercross and motocross, there's so many more moving parts that I have to balance. And, so I'd say that's, getting out of my own head, who is challenge number 1, but 2, being able to balance all of the moving parts, because there are a lot here with this setting for me. But that's like, I thrive in a chaotic environment. And I'm not calling it chaos, but you know what I mean? There's a lot going
on. There's not like enough time to think or overthink? Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure there is, but
Oh, yeah.
do you ever watch yourself back?
Yes, every time.
Really?
I don't love it. Like I really don't love it, but I know if I've been slacking and I've gone like a week or two without watching my stuff, like I start to slip a little bit. You need to watch it. You need to make yourself uncomfortable, because if you don't know what's going on with your performance from watching it back, because you're not going to remember how exactly you presented something or what exactly you said, you got to go back and watch it. And if you don't do that, you will be slipping. And there's a lot of accountability too. Like, not only do we need to bring our best game, well, that is it. You do need to be bringing your best game, and watching your own performances is probably the biggest part of that. So, man, you hear a lot of people say, I don't like hearing the sound of my own voice.
And you do voiceovers. You clearly have a good voice, but do you find your own voice cringe?
Yeah, I think
Really?
I've gotten more comfortable with it. And I've learned to like love my voice. That's been a big like self journey, is like learning to love myself, and my voice is part of that. But it is definitely uncomfortable at first. It's a weird sensation, because how we're hearing ourselves right now is not how it sounds to other people
so
or to when it's
true.
recorded,
It is.
right?
We're our worst critics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. It's
I'm like, why do I look like
But you're
that?
hired to do voiceover, so
Yes.
that's
Have a
good.
great
you know
voice.
you have a good voice. Like if someone's like, "Can you do voiceover?" I'd be like, "Me?"
Right?
I enjoy that work now. I really do enjoy voiceovers, because like they're in my opinion, like easy work. But also it's not live. So if I make a mistake, you just record
redo
another
it.
one. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
For sure.
Okay, so let's go through a day on like race day live or at the Supercross track. Like, what's your day look like?
Yeah, well, I will start. So here's what the week looks like, because this is like there's so much that goes on during the week. So we'll take Sunday. You're coming home from the last race.
Yes.
You're resting. We have production meetings during Supercross. We have a race day live meeting, and then we have a full team production meeting with a race day live team and broadcast team. And this also includes our international teams too, with French and Spanish. So one big happy family. We're doing our homework during the week. A lot of us have other career commitments during the week, other gigs going on. And then so Thursday, you're flying out to the next race. Friday, full day commitment. We're getting up. We have sometimes it's in the morning production meeting. We go over what the run of show is going to look like. If I say to our producers and folks in the truck, I want footage of, Hayden Deegan at Hangtown last year, or I want this graphic with these stats. We're all processing that. We have press rides. I'm going to be interviewing, maybe doing a sit down feature on Fridays. And then we'll do a rehearsal. And then before I know it, it's time to go back to the hotel and rest. Don't go out to eat or anything. It's just like, you got to go back. You got to get rested, shut your brain off for a while, do a little bit more studying, call it a night. The next day, I'm typically up for a day race. Depending on the race schedule, I'm typically up anywhere between like 5 and 7 a.m. We do us women. We do our own glam. We do our own hair and makeup.
Yes.
So it's all, I'm doing all of that at the hotel. I guess I shouldn't speak for Katie and Will. Maybe they use hair and makeup. I don't. I'm
my gosh.
just roughing it,
Winging
Girl,
it.
good for you. You look beautiful on camera. all the
yeah,
time.
gorgeous.
Yes, thank you. So I'm doing that, and then get coffee, go to the stadium. We'll do one last rehearsal, and we'll rehearse certain segments of the show, usually the opening of the show or certain segments that we just want to get a good flow down. Then I will go do track walk, and at that time, I may be catching a few. If they're essential interviews, I'll see who I can get. Otherwise, I may use that time just to walk the track myself, or just make small talk. You never know what little bits and nuggets of information you'll get from people in the industry, from racers. And then I will go as soon as gates open. I'm going to go grab a mic to the house, not broadcast, but I'm going to talk to the fans in the stadium, welcome them in, tell them to go visit Fan Fest, tell them what the run of show is going to look like for the day, and just, make the fans feel welcome. That is for practice. Then once qualifying starts with 250A group, then we're live on Race Day Live. So we cover through the second session, through 450A. I will stay on the mic for just a little bit longer to talk to the fans in the stadium. And then I'll be like, well, I'll see you a little bit, but back in your seats by 6:30 for the pre-show and opening ceremonies. I'll go get a quick dinner in me, hydrate, go over my notes, see if there's anything that I need to know for the night show. It's pretty rinse and repeat. We've got a good routine down. Then we go do opening ceremonies, call the races for the fans in the stadium. Then afterwards, press conference. Then I'm calling it a night. I'm hitting the pillow so hard. And then I am flying home as soon as I can the next day so I can maximize my hours at home.
For sure. And what has your experience been like as a woman in motorsports media?
That's a good question. My experience has been overall good. And I will say that my experience in action sports has been better than other motorsports that I've worked in. And I think it just seems to be a little bit more, diverse, accepting. I have not had a scenario in Supercross, motocross, or even snowcross racing where I would walk up to a promoter or a track owner and they just would look at me and not shake my hand. Like, gross, weird stuff like that.
Right.
Like, what are you afraid is going to happen if you shake my hand? Like, to be honest, like that's happened a few times, and it's just, and it's, I can't take it personal. Am I disgusted by it? Yeah. But like I said, thankfully I haven't had that experience in action sports. It's truly been, it's been good. It's been really good, I will say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were married. How is like your travel schedule? I don't know what your husband does, but how does your travel schedule, like, how do you balance all of that?
Yeah, it's a good question because the home life, it's very important.
Yeah.
He is, just as I am, a huge fan of this sport. Actually, our first date was at Minneapolis Supercross, the last time they'd raced at the Metrodome. So it's really been such a big part of our relationship. So he comes to the races with me. He doesn't like, we don't see each other like when I'm at the track working. It's, I would love to see him, but he's just like, I'm just gonna keep my distance. I'm gonna let you do your thing. So he comes to a lot of them, and he has the ability to travel with his work. So it's it works out well. It would be a different story. I think that if he weren't such a big fan of this, A, he wouldn't understand it. B, the travel is very taxing. It's taxing on a person. It's taxing on a relationship. Sure. So he gets it. He's hardcore.
But he doesn't work in the industry.
No, not in motocross, supercross.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Okay, wait. So do you have like a dress code that you have to wear on game days or whatever? Days.
Yeah.
Race days?
Yeah. So I have a little bit more flexibility on Fridays. I always have to be prepared for the possibility, and I know ahead of time if I'm going to be on camera. So I don't want to be roughing it and wear, I don't want to be too casual on Friday. Yeah. There are some days I'll dress a little bit more business professionally. If they're like big press commitments or things where I'm going to be speaking as maybe a PR representative of the series, let's say. Or I can wear what we refer to in the industry as street clothes, which is what you'll see me wear, something that's typically not branded for like my feature interviews and what I wear at press. Now, what I wear for race day, yes, I do have to wear black pants and black shoes. That is required of me. And as far as my top, black is very safe. That's typically been the go-to. We do have a little bit more flexibility this year, but you won't often see me I'm mostly wearing black. Yeah. I did wear a white top at Daytona this year. I felt like, okay, this is sporty. This is risky. Okay. I can't get any dirt or coffee spillage on my shirt. It made it out unscathed. I was perfectly white at the end of the day. But being white is a little bit riskier in that sense. Typically black is safest and easiest for broadcast. So I do have to be branded though with Supercross, and I will be for Pro Motocross as well. So as long as we have branding, we're good to go. You can
kind of put your own little spin on it, little style on it.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's a really big thing. Is if you don't feel confident in what you're wearing, like I think this goes for so many fields. Like you're not going to be performing to the best of your ability. You're not going to carry yourself as with your shoulders back and your head as high as it should be. So I've gotten a little bit more freedom over the past year to have more say in my wardrobe, especially this year. So it's been nice to have that. They don't do me dirty. Anytime like anyone has like coordinated my wardrobe with Supercross, they've actually been very accommodating. So, but yeah, that's the dress code.
And then outside of motorsports, what fuels your soul?
What fuels my soul? This is one thing that I need to be careful of is in listening to a chapel service from Jake and Kristin Veneta the other week at Salt Lake. They're like, don't let your assignment become your identity, or you need to be careful with that, because let's say the assignment goes away tomorrow. Well, then your identity is ripped from you.
Yes.
And that's really hard for me, because this is where I've always wanted to be. But at any rate, I've always been such a fan of this. So really like racing, but particularly off-road motorcycle racing fuels my soul. Riding dirt bikes fuels my soul. And I'm also pretty creative. So I'm always working on little side projects outside of this. I own a business back home in Indianapolis, so that's kind of been my creative outlet. But what also fuels my soul, I love being out on the lake, being out on the water. Very active, whether it's mountain biking,
Outdoorsy.
paddleboarding, being outdoorsy. I have a raging case of ADHD. I can't sit still for long, so I'm always doing something.
That's me. I'm like fidget spinner.
What business do you own?
So I own a commercial and residential cleaning business in Indy.
Oh, cool.
I have such
That was
a
so
great
unexpected.
team.
Right?
It's totally outside of
but that's
racing.
cool, yeah.
That was the plan. Like I've always worked, I don't say, pretty much always since out of college. I've been working in the motorsport space, and I'm like, you know what? I want to build something, and it's all the props go to my wonderful team of women. They work their butts off. They're just such a joy to work with. So they run the show back home in Indy, but as far as managing it, and like I said, it's kind of a creative outlet for me. So yeah.
And do you have like a favorite rider?
A favorite rider in Supercross and motocross? I mean, it's listen.
Or least favorite rider?
I know. Has anybody been mean to you?
Yeah.
No one's been downright mean. I understand that these guys are in pressure cooker situations. I can only imagine and try to empathize with what they might be experiencing. I'll never experience what they did. So I've never taken it personally, but there occasionally, less than a handful of times per season, I'll get, not even that, maybe once or twice a season, I'll get kind of like a little sass, from someone, from a racer, but it's so rare. These guys are so, and the women I interview too with WMX and other women in the industry, everyone is so professional here. And so that, that makes my job really, really easy. So back to your question of a favorite racer, we can't have favorites. We have to be unbiased, right?
But before, who was your, you got to be a fan of
Who are you
somebody.
most excited to meet when you go?
Or win. When they win, you're like, hell yeah, they won.
Yeah.
I got some. Okay, this is totally fair game to talk about before my broadcast.
Yeah, before.
Before. So, huge Ryan Dungey fan, of course.
Yeah.
Minnesota guy, Minnesota girl, like naturally. Big fan of the Martin brothers too. Dunge. So at Millville, there's this little bridge. Well, there's a few bridges that go over the creek, but there was one towards I think it went from the pits to the track. I hadn't been back there in a couple of years, but I was standing back there. This had to have been 2011, and we were watching practice. I think it was a Friday. Maybe it was practice, press ride, something. And I just happened to be back there as they were coming off the track, and Dunge saw me, or so I thought, and I saw him take off his goggles, and he was like almost reaching out, and then there was another kid that walked, a young kid behind me, and I was 17 or 18 at the time, so of course he's going to give it to the young kid who walks up, and I was on one hand, I was really sad I didn't get the goggles, but on the other hand, I'm like, I was just 2 feet away from Ryan Dungey, 2 feet away. And my boyfriend at the time urged me to go up and take a photo with him. And I did back in the pits. And he was so kind to take a photo with me. And I was shaking. I was shooketh. That was so cool. And I met a few racers that weekend. Ashley Filak was another that I just couldn't wait to meet. but huge K-Dub fan. So when I had the opportunity to pick my lacrosse number in high school and in college, I went with the number 14 because of K-Dub, also because of Tony Stewart, who's also a Smoke fan. So for multiple reasons, 14 it was. So yeah, I've had many different racers that I've been a fan of over the years. I've always seen, I've always been able to appreciate a good story, whether it's an underdog, whether it's someone who's dominating, or even the villain stories. So, I've had a lot of favorites over the years. And even more recently, I was so just like Dylan Ferrandis 2021. That was his championship year outdoors. I'm like, this guy's crushing it. That was so cool. I actually got to go to a few more races than I normally would have that year, just as a fan. So I got to see him win a few times. So that was really cool. So the
villains are always good.
Yeah,
they're always good.
But generally speaking, even to this day, I still appreciate a good story when it presents itself. So I don't, it's not like I go into a race thinking like, oh, I want this person to win. I want this person to not win. No, it's more of like, what to me would shape up to be a really good story is how I look at it. So I'm just a genuine fan of it all.
Is there anybody that you maybe were like excited to meet, but then you like, oh man, they're not really like that cool. Nice in real life? Or like were you ever let down by someone like when you met them in real life?
That's a great question. No, not particularly, at least not here, because everyone, like I said, everyone's so professional. And even when like I try to have empathy, so like if someone's coming off a little bit icy to me, my mind, and kind of being an overthinker too at times, is like, okay, why might they be treating me that way or coming off this way? It's more often than not, it's not about me. I shouldn't take it personally. So there really hasn't been anyone who I've met and been like disappointed, like a don't meet your heroes kind of situation. In fact, I think I've met so many more people who I've thought like, oh wow, this person is really cool, or this person is really personable, and even like has asked questions like they want to know about me. Like who wants to know about me? I'm asking the questions here, right? So it's been full of pleasant surprises.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like what we're trying to do, is get to know like the women in the industry a little better. And I'm sure you've been able to meet more people in the industry and have friends. I know Taryn Robinson, we were talking to her and she was telling us, oh, Haley's awesome, but how is that like the friendships in your industry?
The friendships are great. Yeah. There is, I don't keep a big circle. To be honest, like I'm actually really introverted, and so like
that's what she told me about you. She said she's an introvert. Ask her how she does this.
So it's I don't keep a big circle of close friends. My core friends, like my best friend is from high school, but she and I live states apart. We don't even talk all the time. It's a very like low maintenance friendship, I'd call it, and I have some very very close friends, but just living a life that has me on the road all the time, I'll admit I'm not the greatest friend for someone that needs like, constant contact. But like anyone who I encounter on the road and see every weekend, like I feel like those are my people.
Yeah.
Like it's these, maybe not like super close, intimate friendships, but people who you have a great vibe with. You're not worried about yourself around. Like you don't have to worry interpreting, ooh, what came out of their mouth, was that shady? Yeah. Or are they going to go and like, say this about me or you know what I like that. I love surrounding myself with people who are just a good vibe. And there's so many good vibe people in this sport. Taryn's one of them. She's a real one. I get that vibe from you guys. So that the friendships I've built here, and specifically the female friendships, have been A1.
Nice.
Perfect. Yeah. And what about any of the writers ever try to like pick up on you, or well, I don't know. Like
if they're like, hey, I'm really bad at reading signs because I just it's the response the rapport that I've built, the relationships, professional relationships that I've built with the racers has been just it warms my heart. It really fills my heart to know that like, hey, they're comfortable sharing like intimate, like emotional moments from me. Like this is how I was feeling like coming off the track. This is what, being let go from this team, like this is what it did to me. Being trusted with that information is like something I don't take very lightly at all.
Yeah.
And I know they have an obligation to be as transparent as possible and speak to media. But like some of the things that they've shared, it's an honor, and I take it very seriously. And I would never want to betray anyone's trust, whether it's in the industry or in my personal life outside of my career. But has anyone like hit on me, slid into the DMs?
Yeah.
Like, no, not really.
No. You're nice.
I was shocked.
Like, if there has, it's like it's been maybe other people from the industry or fans, but no, not the racists. They're all gentlemen from what I've experienced.
What kind of advice would you give to a young woman coming up wanting to be like you or do broadcasting in a industry that's very male dominated?
There's a lot of advice. I feel like I'm always a student of the sport, but also a student of the broadcast industry. I feel like I'm always learning, always trying to grow. So where do I start? I think first and foremost, and this goes for women professionally and personally, is you have to love and believe in yourself, because if you don't, like, no one is going to give you that in return. No one is going to see you. You have to love yourself enough to have the confidence to be bold and put yourself out there, and take criticism, want to be better, want to better yourself. So I would say, like, you first and foremost got to have a good relationship with yourself. And when it comes to, I was telling you how I figured in my career it was going to be a point where I'm the one pursuing Supercross or pro motocross, and it just so happened they came to me. That's a very rare thing, and I recognize that. I think that maybe what could have happened if I just believed in myself a little bit more and reached out to them sooner. Maybe I would have been working with them for more years, and maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I wasn't qualified at that point, or wasn't what they were looking for earlier in my career. But at any rate, I wish I would have just been a little bit more bold early in my career, even before broadcast. Just speaking up a little bit more, having the agency and the confidence to know that, like, hey, your stuff, what you bring to the table, your expertise, it's worth something. Even if you show up to a track and a track owner promoter just won't shake your hand, but will shake your male teammates' hands and that sort of thing. Or if you get talked over in a meeting, it doesn't mean that what you have to say is worth less. It's more of a representation of them. And maybe just to sum it all up, just believing in yourself, just even 10% more. I think it would really go a long ways. As far as people wanting to, and men and women, I get asked a lot for advice from women in particular, and I love that. But know that this applies to the guys as well. Is you're never too good for an opportunity. People ask me, well, how do you get to where you are? I'm like, well, it started with me announcing Thursday night, snow cross races or beater cross races, which was like, literally beater cars, these old like Honda Civics. Yeah. It was on a motocross track. Like, just doing anything you can to get reps in on a mic, you are not too good for the experience. And I've had people say, well, I have experience covering, just gonna make something up here, my my college sports team or whatever. And I'm like, well, is it motorsports? No. There you go. Like, you need to get reps in the area that you want to work in. You need to hone your skills before you can ever be visible to the entities that you want to be visible to. So it's sometimes it's what you may see as a small opportunity that gets the right eyes on you. So you're never too good for an opportunity.
Great advice.
That was awesome.
Right? I'm like, yeah.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on like doing social media as well as, just kind of showing, I saw you on TikTok. So I was like, I thought it was really cool. Like, you're like a day in my life and stuff. Like, mean, is that something you enjoy? Like, do you think that's necessary, or you just do it for fun?
It's totally necessary.
Okay.
Do I enjoy it? It's a necessary thing, because like I said, I was discovered through an online presence.
Especially this day and age.
Yeah, it's so much. Your online image is your demo reel. It's your resume. It's that elevator pitch, your first impression they have of you. So it's not only that, but you are speaking, when I'm on a broadcast, I am speaking directly to my audience. I am building a relationship with the family sitting at home, and to be active on social media is just an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to connect with the people that are ultimately the reason why you have a job. So to me, it's I've tried to, maybe years ago, I wanted to build my social media more. More numbers is great. We all want to market ourselves, but now it's kind of like I do it because it's kind of expected in the industry, but nowadays it's more about just staying connected with the audience, because without them, I don't have a job.
Yes,
For sure.
Do you want to have kids?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I always respect when people say that.
Me
Like,
too.
Like,
I got grandkids. I'm like, you go, girl.
Don't get me wrong. I love kids. I was, back when I was in high school, I was nannying, I was babysitting. Like, I love other people's kids. I love my nieces. I love my nephews. And I always thought that it was something like I had to do. Like I also, wanted kids for a very long time. And it's not like a hard yes or no now, but I think right now, like I'm, my partner and I, we're happy with the way things are. And I think like I said, we love kids, but right now at this point in our lives, we're good, I think.
Yeah.
Living your best life,
Heck
having
yeah.
fun.
Heck yeah.
I get to enjoy other people's kids right now.
Right? You were a senior producer for Flow Racing?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was working for Flow Sports, specifically Flow Racing for a few years. And that was, on the content side. So I was creating content. I had a weekly show, Haley's Hot Topics, where I would just take all of the racing on Flow Racing, whether it was, pavement, like modified racing, drag racing, snowcross, off-road, sprint cars, you name it. I did a lot of reporting in the sprint car space. And it was a weekly show on the platform, Haley's Hot Topics, where I just go over like the high level news from each, and maybe some results. And it was just kind of a way to keep content moving. And I did some other pieces. I'd travel to events too, and I was shooting, editing, and interviewing. I was just a one-man band. I'd travel across the country. And actually, that brought me to Budds Creek in 2022. This was at the time where Flow actually had to come in and take over the streaming. There was just some issues on the streaming side of things. So the same production company, they just sent their feed to Flow, and Flow's like, well, we love Moto. We want to support this. We want to, get some footage and start to build some content. So they sent me out to Budds Creek that year. So I was in the paddock. I was trackside. I was shooting that year. And little did I know that the following year, was it 2020? Yeah, 2022. Little did I know the following year I would be working with my idols. Like Jason Wygant, JT, Will Christian, the entire team. I think James Stewart was doing a few, Ricky Carmichael. And little did I know that I'd be working with all those people in just a different capacity. I hadn't even met them at that point. So yeah, when I was working at Flow, it was on the content side, producing video content for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was your biggest obstacle
My biggest obstacle
in your career so far?
Biggest obstacle in my career so far. It's tough to pick a singular obstacle. There've been, maybe I just need to reframe it in my mind. Like there's been definite challenges. And I think a lot of the times, half the time, it's me just needing to get out of my own way. Whether it's believing that maybe I'm not like worthy of that opportunity, or maybe like, I don't think I can make it work for whatever reason. Just talking myself out of it. I'd say overall, in my life in general, that's probably been the biggest obstacle. But the challenges, there's so many challenges day in and day out, but the show goes on. Is someone like, Mark Koha, who is our producer for Race Day Live, or Chris Bond, who produces our broadcast shows that you guys see on TV. It's something will happen at the beginning of the show. Like, I made a mistake in Salt Lake, just a minor like slip up, and they ended up playing like the bad take because it happened to be your pre-recorded thing. I was mortified that I put the truck in that position, because usually I get my interviews done like just one and done. Damn. We're good. I don't need to take a second take. But I messed one up, and they happened to play the wrong one, which I am just as much at fault for that. And so like I just I said to the producer after the show, I'm like, Mark, I am sorry I put you in that position. Like, that was I messed up. And he goes, the show goes on. Like, that was like a 4-second piece of a 2.5-hour show. Like, we're good. Like, no one's
no one even noticed it.
No one's thinking about it more than me, and maybe some people online who are happy to see me mess up. Who knows? But it's little challenges happen all the time. But the show goes on. But I'd say the biggest one has probably been just getting out of my own way.
Yeah. Do you feel a lot of pressure for like appearance reasons and being on TV and like being a female and having to like keep up with all of that
Yeah, and that's been another big part of it. Like, I know that it's a visual medium, and so it's and we work with great coaches who their job is to give us critiques and steer us in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I think that if I wouldn't have been going over the years, and it's an ongoing thing, right? To just be comfortable in my own skin, in my body, hearing my voice, my hair, my skin, all of these things that we are hyper focused on individually, men and women. No one pays more attention to all these small details than ourselves. Right. So sorry, I keep hitting your mic. And I think as I go through the years and I gain even more experience in this industry, it's never personal, but like when feedback is given on your appearance, whether it's like your hair or your outfit or whatever, it does stop you for a second, be like, oh, you it's almost like you're embarrassed. Like for me, it's like, I'm like, oh man, should I have been embarrassed about that? No, like we're good, but you have to keep yourself in check mentally with those things. So it's, but what was your original question? Sorry, I totally meandered there.
I forgot.
It was about like
just like having to keep up with your appearance, or like it's upkeep. You're a female, like having to get your hair done and all that, and then you're going to be on camera on the weekend, and just like I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely put a lot more time and you guys know it, money into like your hair and makeup game and skincare game than I have if I wasn't working on air. And I've developed some good routines, I think, and especially having to do all of it ourselves. It's it is a lot. I think especially when I first started out, back to what I was saying about how I was so worried about the pushback that I thought I was going to receive, like from the Supercross, motocross audience. I thought I was really preparing myself to just be really torn apart physically. And it's not like I just despised myself, but maybe this was coming from a place of lack of confidence, or not entirely being like at one with myself and at peace with myself. And so, and again, that was an example of me just being in my head than I needed to be. I'm always working at that. But and I think as women, I don't know what your experiences are, but I feel in my experience that we are judged a lot more on our appearance
for sure
at times than we are the job that we're doing. So like when someone if I get compliments are always appreciated. Let the record say compliments are always appreciated.
For sure.
When someone wants to come and say like, oh, she's so good looking, or she's so beautiful, or whatever, I'm like, okay, on one hand, thank you. Yeah. But I'm here as a professional. I'm here to do a job. And while it is a visual medium, like it would be so much more meaningful to me if you critiqued me on my work, because that is how JT, Weege, RC, Lee Diffie, all the men that I work with, that's the metric that they are being judged by, for the most part. Like we're all going to be judged for all assets of our performance, your visual, your audio, visual, relationship wise, how you relate to your interview subject and all these things. But I do feel that women are judged just a little bit more, for sure, on that side of things. So it is pressure.
Yeah.
But you know, I work out in the elements. Hair's not going to be perfect all the time. I'm going to be sweating. My skin's going to be a little shiny. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
The dirt,
The
outside,
rain, I know.
you're all weather.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And are you
Yeah.
excited for outdoors? Your first one?
I'm so excited. I am so excited. It's always where I wanted to be. Like, to me, it's like I feel like I've won a national championship. I just being given the opportunity.
Yeah.
That's how it felt when Supercross came to me, and that's how it felt when they came to me this year. They sat me down at my home race in Indy, and they're like, listen, we want you to come on board for the outdoors team. Here are the events we need you for. And then later on, it felt like they offered me another one. And so that's just like, that's the coolest feeling in the world. You know, I'm never going to stop working for it. Like, just because I'm here, the work's only a quarter of the way done. But that's, I'm so very excited about this. And not just, I'm making 2 debuts this weekend. One for the broadcast team, but also our French language broadcast team. And that's really special to me. Just to be allowed to do some segments in French and to be welcomed on that team with Maxime and Sebastian is really cool for me. So this is a big one. I know my parents are stoked. I know my dad would be so stoked if he was here. My mom and stepdad are. They're super fans, by the way.
And are you on for the whole season? Are you just doing some outdoors or?
Yeah, I'll be doing this weekend in Impala. I'll be at Hangtown and Budds Creek for the finale. And then for a bunch in between, I will be there, just not on the broadcast. But if you're at the events, you'll hear me announcing for the PA, the public address announcer, and I'll be doing the press conferences as well, like I do for
wow.
Supercross. So
That's
I will be, I think, in total at 7 or 8 of them. I do have a prior commitment, which has me when I'm missing races. It's because I'm at covering short course off-road trucks. Because I had previously committed to them, and that's been my home. So I'll be around a lot this summer.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a lot of fans who don't realize that I do ride, and I work on my own bikes. I don't trust people to work on mine. Like, there is a very short list of people who I will allow to touch my bike or to give me advice, mechanically speaking, on it. Yeah, so I like
What
to
do you
be hands-on
ride?
with it.
Yeah.
I have a couple YZ125s.
Oh,
And
my son
I've-
rides 125.
Does he really?
Yeah.
It's a fun bike. It's really fun.
He loves it.
I love it. My project bike has been my 06 YZ125. That's the go-to. And when I got back into riding, my husband wanted to learn how to ride too, and he has so we got him a 2019 YZ125, but it's like the same bike effectively, same parts. Don't have to get new tools. It's perfect. He doesn't get a lot of seat time on it. He more has gravitated towards the like street motorcycles, like on the road. So we still have it though. I'll still maybe take it out occasionally, but my YZ125s have been clutch, and I have been really pondering getting a 250F at some point. I don't know which one. Will it happen this year? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. But for now, the YZ125, that's my jam.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch the WMX today?
Yes. Yeah, it was good. I didn't get to see the second moto, but I did get to interview KK Nielsen, who won. Lachlan, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm mistaken, I need to go back and watch the highlights and results, but I think she almost lapped up to second.
I think so.
She did get second overall.
Yeah.
Lala,
Yeah.
she was cooking. She's on
fast.
fire. So the competition this year is truly going to be so good. Jordan Jarvis is back. That's big news. All the women we've had come over from Australia and from, I think there's a racer from Germany. I need to take a thorough look at the entry list because and KK agreed when I was speaking with her that there are way more women on this list than we were expecting this year.
And why didn't they broadcast that? I saw that
because it's on Friday. So there are a few reasons there. And I don't want to speak on behalf of Pro Motocross and Supercross, but here's my understanding is that the day is so full on Saturday right now. It's really hard to get the WMX back into a Saturday program. So for the time being, Fridays is where they're at. And right now we just can't, we don't have the capacity to broadcast it. However, we are capturing it. We're filming it. And actually, this is really big this year, is we are going to have WMX highlights in our live broadcast.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
I'm going to be interviewing the winner of WMX on our show live. So is that satisfactory? It checks a box. It's the exposure.
moving in the right direction.
Progress is progress.
Yeah.
I say we WMX, and I say we because I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of WMX. Would I love to see it broadcasted, live streamed? Absolutely. But progress is progress.
Yes.
We'll work towards that.
Get there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. We're going to do some rapid fire questions. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Favorite racetrack?
Favorite racetrack in motocross?
Yeah.
Redbud.
What about Supercross?
Supercross. I liked Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was great because of the city, the venue, everything. We'll go with Pittsburgh. It was Seattle.
Oh.
Would you rather be trackside or in the studio?
Ooh. They're okay. Two very different things because trackside, I want the sensory experience of the dirt, the smell of race fuel, the sound, the shaking of the earth when the equipment goes by. Right now, I want trackside. Eventually, I want to be in a studio. When my career gets to a point, or my life gets to a point where I can't be on the road 40-some weekends a year, I would love to work out of a studio and broadcast remotely and host it in some way. But for right now, trackside.
Trackside.
One thing you always pack for a race weekend?
One thing I always pack for a race weekend. Well, I have my staples. Like I keep rain boots, a pop-up seat. I keep these staples that travel with the production truck.
Smart.
And jackets and stuff. But one thing I have to have is I have to have my makeup setup, my kit mobile. So I have a little LED light over there. It's a pop-up in my makeup kit. And I had a wireless or cordless straightener so that I can do touch-ups on the go. I can't go to a race without my mobile glam kit.
I still can't believe you do your own glam. That's just
Thank you. Lots of YouTube. Lots of time spent on YouTube trying to figure this out.
okay. Would you rather go on a bike ride or a run?
Talking like cycling bike ride. I would go for a run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biggest pet peeve in the pits?
Pit bikes. Yeah. Like it's normally not an issue on race day because I believe they're pretty strict about it, but especially like when other events that I've worked, when I'm just trying to get through, I don't always have a cart, so I'm in crunch time, and when I'm trying to get through, and there are kids on pit bikes is a really tough one, or people who are just not spatially aware, and they're going every which way, or on a golf cart. And it grinds my gears. It boils my blood sometimes when I'm just trying to get through and do a job. And it's quite frankly just a hazard. This is not at motocross or Supercross. They're pretty good about it here. And rules in place. But I would say it's the pit traffic.
Have you ever like sprained an ankle or had an injury?
Not working, but I've had to work through injuries that I got from riding my dirt bike.
Yeah.
I have my recent, I've been pretty fortunate in that department. I sprained my ankle. It's a pretty minor one, but I made my debut in short course off-road just like 2 weeks later. So I was still like limping around, and I just had I was all road rash, raspberries, road rash all over my arms, and it's like the heat of summer, so I'm not gonna be wearing sleeves, so I looked a little mangled that first race. And I think those who know me know that it's okay. She rides, it's probably, if it wasn't a dirt bike, it was a mountain bike or something. But it wasn't one of my better looks. Luckily, the face and everything was fine, but it was the body that was pretty black and blue and scraped up. So, but no injuries from the job other than blisters. We walk a lot.
Yeah. One word to describe race day.
One word to describe race day. Exhilarating.
Ooh.
I can show up to a show. I never want to, but because of pure adrenaline and excitement, I don't get a full 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I can run on little sleep because it's just pure adrenaline throughout the day. Will I be as sharp as I would if I got a full night's sleep? No, probably not, but like I'm feeling pretty loose, you know, I'm feeling like pretty loose in that setting. So it's the excitement, it's the exhilaration of race day that no matter how I'm feeling, whether I'm battling some allergies or a little cold, or if I didn't get enough sleep, it is the adrenaline of it that carries me through. And I liken that to what these guys will say about, you know, racing. They'll race through injury, they'll race through other circumstances, but as soon as the gate drops, like you're not feeling any of that. And I feel like it's a similar rush. As soon as that red light goes on and we're live, like nothing else affects me. Nothing else matters.
Do you take like a day, like when you get home on Sunday? Do you is it a recovery day, or
I feel like
my sensories calm down? Everything's like
yeah. My brain is pudding.
Yeah.
Like I am not talking to people. I won't even I'll be in texting conversations, and I'm a horrible texter to begin with. Like it might be days before I get back to you. I will just like stop messaging cold turkey because my brain just shuts off. I'll get distracted, or I just like socially can't do it. So I shut off. When I go to the airport, the noise canceling phones are on. I'm minding my business. And when I get home, it's usually a nap and just laying low and resetting for the week ahead. So
It's pretty crazy if you really think about it in moto, the injuries and how the riders just race injured. You know what I mean? Other sports, it's not really like that. You know what I mean? You're like, they just broke their collarbone. A week later, they're racing. I'm like, how is it?
No one ever got seriously injured, and not. I don't want to like shout other sports in a bad light because I have all the respect in the world for them. But no one ever got seriously injured because their bat broke or their glove, the Velcro, like
for sure. And then they show up and they race the next race. You're like, how do you guys do that?
Exactly. These racers walk such a fine line every single weekend with putting themselves at risk, and it's just the littlest things that sport's not without risk, and it's the ability of these racers' ability to push through it is it's inhuman. It's crazy to me.
So one word to describe you.
One word to describe me. Ooh, that's a good question for everyone else. For me, I'd say, man, that's a really tough question. So I feel like it depends on the hour. I would say, you have to give me a second here. I know this is rapid fire, and I am giving you the opposite. I'm like a slow, I don't know, a slow melt here. Positive. At least I would like to be positive.
That's good.
That's really good.
It's so easy, especially when you're really tired, to let your emotions get the best of you and just fall into a negative rut. Or if you're just not having a good show, it's one of those days where it feels like just every little thing that can go wrong will go wrong. Those can really suck you in. But generally speaking, I try to keep the energy and positivity up, and for my teammates, but first and foremost for myself, because if I'm not having a good time, the viewer's not having a good time, and it will reflect very poorly on me if I let my emotions, or I emotionally spiraling and I let the viewers see that, it's going to come back to bite me. So I'm trying to keep it light, trying to keep it positive. So I would like to say that positive describes me.
I like
That's a good
that.
one. Okay, so if you could swap jobs with anyone at the track, who would it be?
Swap jobs with anyone at the track.
You love yours.
I would.
Just for a day.
Just for a day. That's a great question. I would love to switch jobs with Weege just to experience it. Like, having done play-by-play in snowmobile sports, I would love to try it. Am I a fit for that role? No, not right now. But just for a scenario of like who would I switch positions with? Who would I change jobs with? I would like to try Weege's job as the host and play-by-play just for one day.
That would be cool. Do you get recognized, like you said airport, so I was like, I wonder if do fans
Are they
come up
like,
to
hey,
you?
that's the girl from Supercross?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I do. Occasionally I'll be spotted in the wild. It's a lot. I don't know that I get recognized nearly as much as some of my teammates do. But it's still very flattering when it happens. And I did get noticed last weekend at the track, where I'm going to ride, just a local track. And, the person like pitted next to me was just like, they couldn't figure out at first. They're like, she looks really familiar. And I don't always like have my name and number on a jersey. Like sometimes I just have blanks that I wear or whatever, but this one happened to have my name on it. And so even still, it's not 100% clicking until he came up and spoke to me. And then he's like, I watch Race Day live end to end every weekend with my wife. And it was so cool. We just sat there and bench race and stuff. So it's, I am so flattered when I get noticed, and especially by, industry fans and industry people. There are people who have maybe seen me for my coverage in other sports, maybe people who don't even watch those sports, but they were at the gym or they were at the airport and they happen to have, or, a casino and they have like sports on the TV and maybe they'll see my face there. So it's really cool to be recognized, I will say. It doesn't get old because it's, I don't take it for granted. It's very special to me.
So we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you for taking the time while you're out here. We were so excited to meet you.
Super excited.
I'm super excited to meet you guys. I'm so excited about the show. Congratulations on launching your first few episodes to launch. And I love what you guys are doing. I love supporting fellow women.
Thank you.
And so thank you for having me on. It's cool to come in and check out the studio as well.
Thank you.